All right, State Government Committee will come to order.
No.
You know, we've already passed that one. That was about the county government. 108. Yeah, we've already passed that. Same one.
Okay.
All right, the committee will come to order and the clerk call the roll.
Senator Butler?
Here.
Senator Elliott? Senator Orr? Senator Allen? Senator Albritton? Senator Roberts? Senator Bell? Senator Kelly? Senator Coleman Madison? Senator Marika Coleman? Senator Robert Stewart?
Here.
We have more than a quorum.
All right, we've got the agenda before us, and I'm going to rearrange the agenda just a little bit. Senator Price is here. He's got to go somewhere, so we're going to call his bill first. Senate Bill 207.
Is that better? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee. This is a bill that discussed with a lot of you the other day, and basically on your state refunds, as far as we'll have a box where you can select that you would like your refund to go back as far as either to the state parks, could go as far as Department of Conservation and in mental health. This is a bill to help these departments and to where someone could be able to do that.
Mr. Chairman, I move favorable.
Second. Favorable report by Senator Roberts, seconded. Any questions from anybody in the committee?
There'll be a checkoff box where we can designate
Yes,
if you want to
ma'am.
do that.
Yes, ma'am. Mhm.
For state parks. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, nay. And full agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee.
Second bill we've got, she's also in a hurry, House Bill 56, Hope Jones. I'm going to call that one up. Welcome.
Thank you much. Appreciate it. House Bill 56, Senate Bill 109 is a procedural bill. It would be beneficial to all 2,500 plus licensed clinical social workers in Alabama. Alabama is currently the only state remaining in the United States that does not allow the highest level of professionally trained licensed clinical social workers to diagnose. They would be diagnosing such things as PTSD, depression, anxiety, and stress-related disorders. It's also a workforce issue. We are losing these social workers to other states because we do not allow them to diagnose. It would allow greater research through telehealth in the underserved areas that are waiting for mental health diagnosis but cannot receive it without traveling to see a medical professional doctor.
Mr. Chairman, if I'm not mistaken, isn't this the same bill Senator Coleman Madison passed?
Yes, the two hyphenated people, we are together.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, I move favorable.
I'd like to second that, Mr. Chairman. And this is my representative, by the way, Mr. Chairman. And this is her first bill in committee.
This is our first
Welcome.
bill.
We're
Thank
glad
you.
to have you here.
Thank you.
Let's see, I think we had about 14 questions on that.
Bring them on. Bring them on.
I just want to share how important this legislation is for me. I have a therapist, and he's a licensed social worker. He's out of Maryland, okay?
Wow.
And so this is a real important workforce issue, and I'm grateful that we have this opportunity today.
Ma'am, I just would like to send you my condolences on having to put up with Senator.
It's a full-time job.
Yes, ma'am. I
Okay,
understand.
we've got a motion by Senator Roberts, seconded by Senator Elliott. Any questions for Ms. Hope Jones?
Thank you. Just one, really, because of course I understand. But has there been any pushback at all on this at all? And you know, that's a little different because a lot of times we've had nurse practitioners and other folks that wanted to diagnose, and we've had issues. So that's my question. So maybe the next time around for some of those other folks, we won't have as many problems as we've had in the past. Thank you. And normally, if I was in the House, we would have had a good time on your bill. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and bill's given a favorable report. I'm going to call up Senate Bill 197, Senator Orr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a kind of a unique bill in that it puts the examiners in the position to help prevent fraud among state agencies when they have a benefit that they want to that they need to dispose of. It originates with the examiner's report from the Department of Labor, where numerous checks went to incarcerated individuals. So this would put the examiners, and we've got Ms. Riddle here, who, of course, runs the examiners, the agency, but they would be the agency or organization in between the various state government agencies to help facilitate or recommend existing or new programs. I do have an amendment that I need to offer that would say that health care benefits are not part of this equation. And I would pass that down to you, Mr. Chairman, and other copies for members to see this fine amendment, and would move adoption of the amendment to exclude health care benefits as being benefits.
Secretary Elliott?
Okay, we've got the amendment here by Senator Orr. Members have a copy?
I sent around a whole bunch of them.
Somebody took it.
Okay. Any questions on the amendment? Okay. Senator Roberts made a motion, or Senator Roberts made a motion for adoption, seconded by Senator Elliott. Any questions now? All in favor of the amendment, say aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Amendment's adopted. Okay, back on the bill as amended. Any questions? One question.
Thank you. So, Mr. Chairman, things have to kind of make sense to me because it specifically says that it's not talking about a tax credit, tax rebate, tax refund. Can you maybe just give me an example just so I can understand what we're doing?
So if you had a TANF check or a unemployment compensation check or any kind of benefit of that nature, if it's feasible, and sometimes in state government it's not feasible, but to make sure the recipients are entitled to receive the benefit that they are. And a lot of times in states that have computer systems that talk, we still have, unfortunately, too many silos where one agency can't talk to the other. And that's the reason we put the examiners kind of in the driver's seat to know who can talk to what easily, to do what they call it the bump. They bump off databases and say, okay, here's who is eligible. Is anybody incarcerated that would be receiving this unemployment check? Another example is you had a bunch of people that received, I say a bunch, but a couple hundred that were living out of state, and do examine it. Let's look at the data and see whether people out of state ought to be receiving an Alabama unemployment check. Or you had a situation where you had, I think in their report, you had 20-something people living in one address supposedly. And are those legitimate claimants for unemployment checks? So we would start where it's possible and then bring online in the future as like DHR, we approved a $50 or $60 million database, new computer system for them. So as they upgrade over the next 2 years, be able to access that today, probably not possible.
Okay, and thank you so much. That was helpful. I just want to make sure too, though, if one of those benefit checks, you just mentioned DHR, of course, that made me think about children. Making sure that a benefit check is not stopped. That could be to the benefit of the kids. I know not to them directly, but to the benefit of the family, if I'm making sense.
Sure. I see this as, we mailing checks to California or something.
I hear you. I
so
hear you 100%.
I think we would err on the side of not straining over a $500 check or something, but certainly allow it
Thank you for that.
unless we have, contrary information that they're just
No
not
further question, Mr.
eligible.
Chair.
Or let's go back to the example that you gave of a people living, group of people living in one house, and they worked and now they're out of work, they're unemployed. So is there a restrictions on people who? I mean, that was the example that you gave. So I'm
Right.
just wondering.
There's no there's no restriction on how many people can live in one house, but it should raise some flags if it's a single family, not an apartment complex with the same address, but if it's a single family dwelling, you should raise some red flags with something like that. Now, will this database check something like that? No, I was referring to the DOL report that the examiners did, that there are some questionable expenditures sometimes that they make. I don't know that addresses would be one that would be flagged.
Yeah, I was just wondering simply because there are a number of group homes in urbanized areas. These are people who, and they may have, just been down on their luck. I know that there are a lot of group homes, men and women, and most of the people work, but from time to time they become unemployed. So I want to make sure that if someone is entitled to a benefit, I can understand where you're saying somebody's incarcerated, they're not entitled, they're out of state, wouldn't be entitled to Alabama unemployment benefits. But I just want to make sure they don't further penalize people that are already down on their luck. And simply because they don't have a home of their own, a family home, and they have to live in a group home, that they are not penalized for this.
I'm looking at the report. Another category I failed to that would be easily accessible are deceased people. They made a substantial number of payments to individuals that were deceased, and then, like I said, let's see, over 300 people who were deceased got an unemployment check. And then incarcerated individuals.
Do they recapture this money?
I
or the? I guess it's kind of hard because they don't know who cashed the
I don't think so.
check.
It'd be hard to. I guess somebody would take it who lived and maybe cashed it.
Thank you.
Hard to track it down. Mr. Chairman, I'd move favorable at this time.
Got a motion for favorable report, seconded.
Aye.
By Monrovia, Alabama.
Thank you, Chairman. And Senator Butler is my senator. So thank you, Senator Butler. And fellow pharmacist. So this is House Bill 79. It's an agency bill from the Alabama Board of Pharmacy. The federal government established the Drug Chain Security Act several years ago that basically is responsible for the chain of custody of a drug, where it comes from, who got it, where it goes. The end result being the dispensing pharmacy. As part of that provision, wholesalers and distributors are required to have a contact person so that they can be contacted directly if there's ever a question about the integrity of a medication. And so what this law does, or what this legislation does, it allows the Board of Pharmacy to license that individual so we know who that individual is. So if a pharmacy in Alabama has an issue with a medication, the origin of the medication, or need to know information about that, the Board of Pharmacy will have the contact for that specific wholesaler or that specific distributor so that we can contact that individual and gain the information that we need about that chain of custody of a drug. It's what it does. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Any questions from anybody in the committee?
Wait a minute. We had a motion. Yeah, we had a motion for. Okay. Yeah. Seconded. You did too. Okay. You gonna do Coke? Okay.
Any other questions? All in favor of the bill, say aye.
Thanks, Chairman. Thank you, committee.
Like it's on the Easter parade every day.
I've been left. I can't defend myself.
I've got the next bill is Senate Bill 195, related contract review. They have one additional member from the Senate, one additional member from the House. Any questions?
I'd move it.
Second.
Motion by Senator Orr, second by Senator Allen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I think that completes the agenda.
Senator Orr.